The conference room gleamed with polished walnut panels, crystal water glasses refracting light from floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Portland River. I sat in the corner chair Kendra had shoved me toward, my palms cold from catching myself against its arms. Investors and lawyers sat in neat rows, sipping water, their faces polite but distant, avoiding my eyes as if my presence were a minor inconvenience. Kendra adjusted her tailored blazer, her smile sharp and hollow. "Sit quietly, Laura," she murmured, leaning close, her perfume shop. "Don't make this awkward." My son, Ethan, turned from the mortgage broker, his teacher's voice calm but cutting, the same tone he used to silence unruly students. "Mother, you're too old to understand. Don't waste our time." The realtor clutched a thick folder like a shield, clearing his throat and asking if everyone was ready to sign. Chairs scraped, pens clicked, and the air grew taut. Kendra slid a crisp packet across the table, her manicured nail tapping the top page. "Power of attorney," she said, her voice syrupy with false care. "One signature, Laura, and you can relax. We'll handle the rest." I studied the papers without touching the pen, letting silence settle like dust. The realtor swallowed hard. The broker shifted uncomfortably. Outside, gulls wheeled over the river, their white wings flashing against a steel-gray sky. The room held its breath, waiting for my answer. They called me a tenant in the house I'd helped save, offering me a basement room and expecting gratitude. I remembered carrying Ethan through Portland's rain-soaked streets when he had croup, his small body feverish against my chest. I recalled counting cash at my bakery past midnight, hands raw from flour and soap, whispering to myself that tomorrow would be kinder. Silence wasn't surrender. It was a door I'd learned to open by waiting. They saw an aging woman, 67, grateful for a corner chair, her gray hair tucked neatly, her cardigan worn but clean. They didn't see the ledgers I kept in my mind, the maps I'd walked in the dark, or what I knew about this land and the hands that truly held it. Years ago, my hands were strong from kneading dough before dawn at the bakery I built from a single oven and a dream. That bakery paid for Ethan's school clothes, his soccer camps, his college tuition, keeping the lights on after his father left with our car and a muttered apology, abandoning us to a one-bedroom apartment. I worked until my back ached, my fingers cracked, but every sale was a brick in the life I built for us. When I sold the shop and moved into Ethan and Kendra's Portland home, I envisioned family, Sunday dinners, holiday laughter, the warmth I'd craved while working myself thin. Instead, the cuts began, small but deliberate. Kendra introduced me to her friends as our live-in nanny, gesturing with a bright smile as I held a tray of warm muffins, their cinnamon scent filling the room. Her friends laughed, thinking it a joke. She never corrected them. My oak dining table, saved for years, was dismissed as cabin furniture and replaced with cold glass and chrome that gleamed under every meal but felt lifeless. My backyard garden, rows of tomatoes, peppers, herbs planted with care, was uprooted without warning. I found the compost bin overflowing with a month's work, their roots still clinging to soil. "Not organic," Kendra shrugged from the patio, sipping coffee, her indifference cutting deeper than words. Ethan sat me down one evening, papers in hand. "It's only fair you pay utilities," he said, ignoring the $50,000 I'd given to clear their mortgage when they faced foreclosure. "You have your own room." The worst came during a winter pneumonia scare. After a week in the hospital, I returned to find my bedroom door blocked by a stranger's suitcase. "We rented your room," Kendra said casually, not meeting my eyes. "You can stay in the basement for now. The rent helps." Ethan leaned in the doorway, adding, "One less mouth to feed." The basement was bare concrete, lit by a single bulb, the water heater's hum my only company. Above, laughter and clinking wine glasses drifted through the vents, each sound a fresh entry in the ledger I kept in my mind. Not of money, but of every insult, every theft of dignity. I didn't rage or beg. I wrote it down in silence, knowing the balance would come due. The turning point arrived in a plain envelope with my mother's looping handwriting, delivered months after her death in a small Idaho town. I expected photos or her old recipes, but her lawyer revealed she'd sold a stretch of farmland, leaving me a fortune, $2.3 million, enough to rewrite my story. I told no one, knowing Ethan and Kendra would circle like vultures. Instead, I called Marisol Vega, my best friend since we were 12, now a financial consultant in Seattle. Her voice was steady, discreet. "We can build something untouchable," she said. We created a Nevada trust, leveraging the state's ironclad asset protection laws. On paper, it belonged to her firm. In reality, every cent was mine, hidden behind shell companies and split ownership that erased my name. We invested in stable firms, then targeted the development company behind the $64 million Cannon Beach estate Kendra obsessed over, a glass-walled marvel on a bluff above the Pacific. By year's end, the trust held 42% of the company and, crucially, the sole deed to the estate's land. From my basement, surrounded by the hum of the water heater, I wove a plan, letting them believe I was powerless, a shadow in their home. One chilly March evening, I overheard them in the kitchen, voices low but electric with ambition. Kendra scrolled through estate photos on her tablet, her eyes gleaming. "If we get in before other offers, we lock it down," she said. Ethan grinned, already tasting victory. "The view, the parties. We'll finally be in the circle we deserve." The word deserve lodged under my skin, but their wealth was a facade, stretched thin by credit. Marisol and I crafted a trap over a secure call. "We offer the deposit through the trust," she said, "but the contract will have teeth." The agreement was deceptively simple. The trust would provide the $5 million deposit, with the balance released at closing. Hidden in the fine print was a clause. If the trust withheld the balance for any reason, the deposit would be forfeited, no refunds, no appeals. Ethan skimmed the papers like a menu. Kendra signed with a flourish, seeing only a gift from an anonymous investor. They preened. Kendra ordered Italian marble for rooms she'd never seen. Ethan boasted about a wine cellar he'd design, joking about turning my garden into a helipad. I stirred soup, tended my replanted herbs, and recorded their words on my phone. Oregon's one-party consent law my quiet ally. One clip stood out. Kendra, wine-drunk, telling a friend, "The day the papers are signed, I'm shipping the old woman to a nursing home. She'll thank me later." In the basement's darkness, I smiled, my net tightening around them. The closing day arrived under a steel sky, the scent of rain drifting from the coast. The conference room's walnut panels and crystal glasses gleamed, the table a stage for their triumph. Kendra tapped the power of attorney papers, her voice sweet but edged. "One signature, Laura, and Ethan won't worry about paperwork." Ethan leaned close, his aftershave sharp. "Mother, if you don't sign, this is the end of our relationship." His hand tightened on my chair. I placed the papers face down, silence stretching like a taut wire. Conversations faltered, the realtor's pen hovered. Then the door opened, and the development company's CEO and lead attorney entered with quiet authority, suits crisp, faces unreadable. The CEO stopped beside me. "Mrs. Whitman," he said clearly, "we have your contract. Without your signature, the sale is cancelled." Shock rippled across the table. Kendra blinked rapidly. Ethan's face paled. The attorney stepped forward, placing a leather folder before me. "Mrs. Whitman is a co-owner of this company and the sole legal owner of the estate's land. Without her consent, no sale proceeds." I pulled out Marisol's documents, placing them deliberately, the bold heading visible, "Transfer to Harbor Light Foundation." "This estate will house single mothers and elderly women abandoned by their families," I said, my voice steady. The CEO nodded. "She's within her full rights." Ethan stammered, "We'll talk privately." I met his eyes. "No, this stays in the light." The attorney added, "Ethan and Kendra Whitman will be listed as honorary sponsors on all plaques and records." Kendra's lips parted, but no sound came. I signed with deliberate strokes, The pen scratched the only sound in the stunned room. The balance had shifted, and I stood at its center. The next morning, I sent Kendra's recorded remark to a journalist friend from my bakery days, who thrived on sharp-edged human interest stories. By noon, it was everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, the local paper's website, daughter-in-law's chilling nursing home threat at $64 million estate closing sparks outrage. Neighbors turned away at the grocery store. Churchgoers avoided their eyes. Business deals crumbled. Ethan's key investor pulled out. Kendra's boutique lost 3 major clients in a day. They sold their SUV, then their boat, then the glass and chrome table Kendra once mocked my oak for not matching. By the 3rd month, they moved to a cramped rental on Portland's edge, blinds always drawn, their social media a graveyard of unliked posts. 6 months later, a cold afternoon brought a knock at my door, mist rolling in from the coast. Ethan and Kendra stood there, rain-soaked, defeated. Ethan, thinner, his face drawn, said, "Mom, we have nowhere else to go." Kendra stared at the porch boards, her gloss gone. I stepped aside, gesturing to the kitchen. They sat, and I poured water they didn't touch. "There's a nice nursing home nearby," I said, echoing Kendra's words. "Good food, clean rooms. You should try it." The words landed like a stone in still water. Ethan's jaw tightened, Kendra's cheeks flushed, but they said nothing. They rose, chairs scraping, and left without protest, their footsteps fading in the mist. A neighbor across the street, pruning roses, watched them go. I knelt in my garden, the Pacific's briny air mingling with rosemary, chickens scratching nearby. The hand-painted grandma's garden, entry by invitation only sign stood firm at the gate, a quaint decoration to some, a declaration to me. I harvested lettuce, tomatoes, basil. Pull, shake, place, each movement grounding, a reminder that what you tend grows, what you neglect withers. The sunset painted the sky gold, waves crashing faintly in the distance. "Silence isn't weakness," I said aloud to the chickens, the herbs, the air. "It's strategy." My ledger was balanced, not with revenge, but with consequences. The Harbor Light Foundation thrives, its Cannon Beach estate a sanctuary for single mothers and elderly women, its plaques bearing Ethan and Kendra's names as a quiet irony. My story is a lesson. You don't need to shout to win. The quietest person in the room often holds the power, waiting for the moment to turn the tide.